Elena was sitting at her small kitchen table. It was a quiet morning. The sun came through the window, and a warm cup of tea sat beside her notebook. Her phone was on the table, too. For many months, Elena had been learning English by herself. She watched English videos. She listened to podcasts. She read short stories. But even with all this practice, she still felt nervous when speaking. When someone spoke to her in English, she didn't know what to say. Her mouth didn't move. She stayed quiet. One day, she saw a video called Improve Your English Fluency with effective shadowing techniques. She had never heard of shadowing before. She clicked play. The speaker on the video had a friendly voice. He smiled and said, "Shadowing is when you repeat after me. You copy how I speak. You are my shadow." Elena liked that idea. It felt easy and fun. She listened to the speaker say one sentence slowly. Then he paused. Elena repeated the sentence out loud. She copied the speaker's voice, rhythm, and feeling. At first, she felt a little shy. Her voice was quiet. She made mistakes, but she kept going. She tried again and again. Then she had an idea. She opened the recording app on her phone and recorded her voice. She listened to it. She sounded different from the speaker, but it helped her hear her own mistakes. She tried again. She recorded a new version. It was better, not perfect, but better, she smiled. For the first time, she was not only listening to English, she was speaking it. Elena made a plan every morning before work. She would practice shadowing for 10 minutes. She chose short videos with slow, clear English. She listened to each sentence. She repeated it. She tried to sound just like the speaker. She even copied the speaker's emotions. If the sentence was happy, she smiled. If it was serious, she used a calm voice. She also recorded herself and listened again. Some days she made small games for herself. She tried to shadow a whole video without pausing. She used a mirror and practiced saying the sentences with different faces. One day she tried saying the same sentence with different feelings: happy, angry, surprised. She laughed when her voice sounded funny. It was not boring, it was fun. Shadowing helped Elena in many ways. It helped her listen better. It helped her speak faster. It helped her think in English. She stopped translating in her head. She started to understand the words and their meaning naturally. She didn't need to know every grammar rule. She just needed to speak. She just needed to try. She started to feel proud. She was no longer afraid of her voice. She began to feel stronger, like she could speak to people in English without fear. One day she listened to one of her first recordings. Her voice was slow, quiet, unsure. Then she listened to her latest recording. Her voice was louder, clearer, and more natural. She smiled. She had improved. She had grown. Later that day, she sent her before and after recordings to her cousin. Her cousin was also learning English. After listening, her cousin said, "Wow, you sound so good now. Can you teach me how to do this too?" Elena was surprised. She never thought someone would ask her for help. But now she knew what to say. She replied, "Yes, I can show you. Just start by repeating one sentence every day out loud with feeling." That night, Elena wrote in her notebook, "Shadowing changed everything. I am not perfect, but I am not afraid anymore. My voice is my tool. I will keep using it." If you are learning English and you feel shy when speaking, remember Elena's story. You don't need to speak perfectly. You just need to speak. You can start with one sentence a day. You can repeat after someone. You can record your voice. You can listen and learn. Your voice is important. Your voice can grow. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. You just have to begin. So today, press play, repeat the first sentence, speak out loud. Be your own voice's shadow. And remember, this is how fluency begins. Elena was excited. She had a plane to catch. It was her first time flying alone to another state in the US. She had her suitcase packed. Her phone was charged. Her English had improved a lot thanks to her daily shadowing practice. She felt more confident now. She was ready for this trip. But this time, she was not going to the usual airport. She had booked a cheaper flight from a different airport. It was a little far, and she had never been there before. Still, she thought it would be fine. She wanted to save money and try something new. When she arrived near the airport, she looked around. There were cars signs and a few buildings. But she didn't see the airport entrance. She didn't see the check-in counter. She felt a little confused. Then she saw a bus. It had a sign that said, "Shuttle." She wasn't sure what that meant, but it looked like it could take her to the airport building. She walked over and asked a man nearby, "Excuse me, does this bus go to the check-in area?" The man replied quickly. He spoke fast, and Elena could not understand him. She caught a few words, but not the full sentence. She smiled and nodded, even though she didn't really understand. Then she got on the bus. Inside the bus, it was quiet. There were no screens. There were no signs showing where to get off. Elena sat near the window and waited. The bus started moving. It turned once, then again. She saw some buildings. She saw trees. But she did not see the airport. She started to feel nervous. What if she was going the wrong way? After a while, the bus stopped. Elena looked out the window. She was back where she started. She had gone in a big circle. She didn't understand what happened. She stayed on the bus, not sure what to do. The driver looked at her and said, "You didn't get off," she said. "I didn't know where to get off." The driver smiled and said, "That's okay. Let's go again. I'll help you." Elena smiled too. She was a little embarrassed, but also thankful. This time, she wanted to do better. As the bus moved again, she listened carefully to what the driver said. He spoke slowly to her now. Elena repeated some of his words in her head. She was shadowing him in real life. She whispered quietly, "You didn't get off." Then, "Let's go again." It helped her stay calm. The bus passed the same buildings again. A few people got off at one stop. Elena looked at the driver. He shook his head and said, "Not yet." She waited. The bus kept going. Finally, it stopped in front of a larger building with big windows. The driver turned and said, "Now, this is the place. Check-in is over there." Elena stood up quickly and said, "Thank you so much." The driver smiled and joked. "You just had the full tour. First ride free." Elena laughed. Her nervous feelings were gone now. She was still a little embarrassed, but she was also proud. She didn't give up. She stayed calm. And now she was here. She walked toward the airport entrance. As she waited in line to check in, she pulled out her notebook. She wrote a few things to remember. Learn travel phrases. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to speak. Listen carefully. Then she added one more sentence. Today I got lost. But I also learned something new. Elena now understood that even when things go wrong, she can still learn. She didn't understand everything people said, but she asked for help. She practiced her English while riding the bus. She remembered words from her shadowing videos, and she used them. She smiled. This was not just a funny story. It was a real experience. It was part of her English journey, and she was getting stronger every day. Elena sat quietly at the airport, waiting for her flight. Her suitcase was beside her, and her journal was open in her lap. She looked at the pages and smiled. Earlier that day, she had gotten lost on the airport shuttle. She had not understood everything. She had made a mistake, but in the end, she found her way, and she learned something important. She remembered how the bus driver laughed and said, "You just had the full tour. First ride's free." It was a small joke, but it made her feel better. Elena laughed too. She had felt confused, then embarrassed. But now she felt proud. She didn't give up. She asked for help. She spoke English even when it was hard. That was a big step. As she sat near the gate, Elena wrote something new in her notebook. She called it her Language Courage Journal. On the first line, she wrote, "Today I used English to ask a question I didn't understand the answer, but I tried again. I stayed calm. I reached my destination." It was a short story, but it was her story. It showed her progress. It showed her courage. Elena decided to write one moment like this every day. One small moment of bravery in English. Maybe she would order coffee in English. Maybe she would ask for help. Maybe she would try a new word. Even if she made mistakes, she would still write about it. Because speaking with courage was more important than speaking perfectly. Then she thought about two funny sentences she heard that day. One was, "You'd better ask next time." The other was, "What just happened?" At first, they sounded like jokes, but now Elena understood they were useful. "You'd better" means it's a good idea to do something. It's strong advice. "You'd better listen" means you really should listen. And what just happened is something you say when you're surprised or confused. Elena smiled again. She had used both of those thoughts during her shuttle ride. Now she could remember them and use them again. As she waited for her flight, Elena opened her phone and played one of her favorite shadowing videos. She listened to a clear voice speak. She paused after each sentence and repeated the words out loud. This time, she was not at home. She was in public. But she didn't feel shy. She felt brave. She was learning in real life. Then she had a new idea. She made a playlist on her phone and called it Shadowing Voices. She added some slow English podcasts, some short videos with subtitles, and even a few movie scenes. She planned to listen and practice while walking, while cooking, or while waiting in line. Shadowing didn't have to be boring. It could be fun. It could happen anywhere. As she stood up to board her flight, Elena felt strong. She had learned so much, not just about English, but about herself. She used to think that fluency meant speaking without mistakes. Now she knew that fluency also meant speaking with courage. Even if she forgot a word, even if she didn't understand everything, she could still communicate. She could still connect with people. She whispered one more sentence from her shadowing practice. "You don't need perfect English. You just need to communicate." That sentence had helped her so much. And now she believed it with all her heart. Elena walked toward the gate with her head high. She was not afraid to speak English. She was not afraid to try. And she knew this was only the beginning of her journey. So if you are learning English and you feel scared or shy, remember Elena's story. Mistakes are normal. Feeling lost is normal. But if you keep speaking, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself, you will grow. You will get better. You will find your voice. Speak bravely, learn deeply, and never stop moving forward. Elena's story is a journey of learning mistakes and courage. At the beginning, she was just like many English learners. She listened, she watched videos, but she didn't speak much. She felt shy. Her voice was quiet. She wanted to speak English, but she was afraid to make mistakes. Then Elena found a new way to practice. It was called shadowing. She started by repeating simple sentences. She recorded her voice and listened again. Day by day, her voice became stronger. She began to enjoy speaking English out loud. She didn't wait to be perfect. She just started. Later, Elena had to travel. She went to a new airport. She got confused. She didn't understand fast English. She made a mistake and rode the shuttle bus in a big circle. But she didn't give up. She asked for help. She tried again. The bus driver helped her, and she laughed at her small mistake. It became a funny and powerful memory. At the airport, she thought about everything she had learned. She started a language courage journal to write her small, brave moments each day. She also made a playlist to practice shadowing while walking or relaxing. She learned 2 new expressions, "you'd better" and "what just happened." They were more than just phrases. They were part of her real-life story. In the end, Elena became stronger, not just in English, but in her heart. She learned that speaking bravely is more important than speaking perfectly. She learned that every mistake is a chance to grow. This is the message of her story. And now, what can you learn from Elena? You can start today. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need big words. You only need to try. Repeat one sentence. Ask one question. Write one moment in your own courage journal. Use your voice. Speak with confidence. Because every step you take, even a small one, brings you closer to fluency. Congratulations. You've just improved your English listening and understanding by following this full story. That means you are already growing. Great job. Now let's play a little game. What helped Elena become more confident in English? A. Watching English videos silently. B. Practicing shadowing out loud every day. Type A or B in the comments. Let us know your answer. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to our channel to support us. It helps us continue making good lessons for free just for you. And if you want to support us even more, consider making a small donation to help us create more quality content. In the beginning, it's very hard to grow, and your help means a lot. Thank you for being part of this journey. Let's keep learning together.